Welcome to the Balls in Your Court podcast. I'm Kevin Carter here. Alongside with me is Jon Orr. Jon, how you doing?
Hey, how you doing, Kevin? Glad to be here.
I'm doing good. Cortez is away in Orlando, so we were like, screw it. We're going to do one without him. We love you, Cortez, but sorry you're not here. So what we're going to do today is we're going to discuss some NCAA tournament basketball. I don't know if you heard or not, but Kevin Durant's going to be out 4 to 6 months with his foot injury. We'll discuss that. So we're going to go into a lot of topics today. But first off, we're going to start off with the NCAA tournament and the Sweet 16 that has happened over the last 2 days. What was your take on it, Jon? Did it go out the way you thought it would go out?
I honestly thought West Virginia and Kentucky was going to be closer. I would not have been surprised if West Virginia gave them a game, but that one stunned me. That one was completely stunning.
That wasn't even close.
I couldn't believe it was. I turned it off at 56-14. I kind of find it hard to root for Kentucky.
Me too.
I'd love to see an undefeated season.
Just not from Kentucky.
I don't mind Kentucky. I'm scared to death if you get emotionally attached to this. With John Calipari's history, wherever else he's been, this might not exist in 5 years.
Yeah, that's true.
But Kentucky still looks like the team to beat. Duke is looking strong as always. Yep. And Notre Dame. I was one of the few people that thought their ACC championship win was a fluke.
They look good.
But Notre Dame is built for this tournament. They got a big matchup with Kentucky today, so let's see what they can do there. But I'm happy. I'm happy the usual suspects are out for the most part. Kansas.
Yeah.
Can't believe Gonzaga is still alive. That bores me.
Gonzaga is still alive. The biggest one to me is Michigan State being able to do what they done. Tom Izzo, again, doing a magnificent coaching job, them coming in as an 8 seed and making it into the Elite Eight. He's done a fantastic job.
I'm not necessarily surprised with Michigan State. Michigan State always seems to pull it together about this time of year. So I'm not necessarily surprised with Michigan State or Louisville, for that matter, as being alive right now in the tournament.
To me, they got the two of the best coaches that are in it right now, coaching on both of those sidelines in Tom Izzo, and then you've got what's his name up?
Rick Pitino.
Yeah, Rick. How did I forget Rick Pitino's name? I had it on the top of my head, but yeah, they've got arguably two of the better coaches in the tournament right now, and I think that goes a long way with both of those teams the way they're going. The guy that's really come across last night, I haven't really watched a lot of Duke games, but I kind of watched Duke last night, and this Okafor kid is ridiculous to me.
Oh, absolutely.
I sat there and watched this kid, and the way they said it last night, kind of the way I would describe him is every motion he takes is a fluid motion, and it's not wasted.
Absolutely. Everything is very efficient.
Yeah, he is definitely. He kind of reminds me of a little more athletic Tim Duncan. Is what he reminds me of, because he doesn't waste any of his motions, and he's
very, very fundamentally sound. Yeah, absolutely, yeah. I would love to see him and Cauley Stein.
Yes, I would love to see them. Right now, I would love to see them match up with Kentucky, just to see how Kentucky handles him and handles some of the other guys on Duke as well.
But I mean, you go back to Rick Pitino and Tom Izzo.
Mm-hmm.
They have a way of getting the boys ready.
Oh yeah,
they have mastered the let's get in the march and then we'll start playing mentality that sometimes is needed to be a championship ball coach. Mm-hmm. I mean, if you look at UConn's success when they had Kemba Walker and when they had Shabazz Napier last year, they weren't overwhelming during the regular season by any stretch of the word.
No, they kicked it in.
But when it came time to hit that switch, they hit that switch.
Yep.
That's what makes the tournament so great. The Pitino, this has to be, if my memory serves me correctly, his 5th or 6th consecutive Elite Eight.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he gets them there.
Repeatedly. Yep, repeatedly.
And I like to bring this up because I hate the one and done rule.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just imagining right now, man, if the NBA eliminated the one-and-done rule and made you play 4 years, I started thinking about this, especially after watching that brilliant documentary, I Hate Christian Laettner.
Yes. Yeah. Very good documentary, too.
Could you imagine how much better this tournament would be if Duke still had Jabari Parker?
Oh, God. Imagine.
Kansas still had Andrew Wiggins.
Imagine all the teams that had guys leave early and would have been – these teams would have all been stacked. Like, every team would have been stacked. Anthony Davis would have still been at Kentucky.
Yeah, he's a senior this year.
Yeah, he would have been a senior this year. He would.
Nerlens Noel would have still been there.
Yeah, he would have been a junior?
Yeah, but it goes to that one and done thing that drives me crazy. Not only that, it eliminates the beloved parity needed in college basketball.
Yeah, that's true.
Because you think about it, every year it's the same usual suspects: Kansas, Duke, Kentucky, North Carolina, UConn. Because every year they get a fresh new batch of hot freshmen in there. They're one and done. So could you imagine, where would Willie Cauley-Stein be right now if he knew going to Kentucky he'd be behind Nerlens Noel and Anthony Davis?
Yeah, they would all went somewhere else.
Exactly. It's eliminating the parity in college basketball. That's the one thing that keeps college basketball from being a perfect sport. Right. Is why get attached to a team when you're losing something? You're losing them all in a year. I was thinking about that yesterday.
Yeah, last year was a good example of where you had teams that were at least in the Final Four that had those core guys that have stayed all 4 years in your UConns, your Floridas, Kentucky really being the only team there that had a lot of guys that jumped ship early.
And they came back this year, though. The Harrison twins came back this year.
The Harrison twins,
with Cauley-Stein and Lyles. Mm-hmm. And can I address something? I watch Kentucky basketball on mute. Because I get annoyed, like especially after watching them play Arkansas. They praise Cauley-Stein, but the Harrison twins are the buzzsaw that makes that team go.
Oh yeah,
I've never seen a backcourt as dominant as them. You throw Lyles in on the wing, it's no surprise Cauley-Stein is having a great season.
But they
put up a stat in the SEC tournament because the big controversial thing was Arkansas's Bobby Portis being named SEC Player of the Year.
Yeah.
And they put up a stat in the SEC Championship game that they both had a good game. Cauley-Stein had 15 points, 10 rebounds. Mm-hmm. And they said that it was his third double-double of the season. And I'm sitting here thinking to myself, with the team you're playing with, you've only managed 3 double-doubles? And I started thinking Lyles and the Harrison twins make that team go. And if Cauley-Stein goes, like they've expected him to leave, and more than likely go number 1.
Yeah.
From the early analysis I've seen, to go to the Knicks, the poor bastard. If the Harrison twins stay another year and Lyles stays another year, I would not be surprised if Kentucky puts on a UConn-esque winning streak.
Oh, yeah. But then their bench is – some people say that their bench is almost as good as their starting lineup when they bring in Booker.
Would be a 4 seed.
Yeah, they bring in Booker, and I'm like, good God.
Their bench would be a 4 seed.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's how good their bench. I hate when a team gets going and they say they can beat most NBA teams, that, and the other. But Kentucky, this is the best basketball team I've seen, college basketball team, I've honestly seen in 15 years.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is that the other team, the only team I can relate to this is the 99 Duke Blue Devils, who didn't even win the whole thing. They lost to Rip Hamilton and UConn in 1999. Yeah. But that is the only team I've seen that remotely resembles as good as this Kentucky team is.
Yeah, me and Cortez had a discussion on the last podcast if some people are calling this Kentucky team one of the greatest college basketball teams ever.
Absolutely not.
And we were putting them up against some of the other teams that won the titles and everything, seeing if they could beat these guys. And
absolutely not. We're not the best team ever.
Yeah, we came across a few teams that we thought they couldn't beat.
I haven't got a chance to listen to that yet. I've been a little bit busy with the job, but they couldn't have beat the UCLA teams of Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Nope.
They couldn't have beat 91 and 92 Duke's teams.
I don't even think they could have beat the UNLV team. I'll
go as far as to say that 2006 Florida Gator team would have given them a fit.
Yep, we put that on there too. Yeah,
because they are. I'm talking to Team Torian Green, Brewer, Chris Richard, Joakim Noah, Al Horford.
Yeah, all the good.
I I would go as far as to say that team would give them a fit. There's
because they had the big man to match.
Nobody's even mentioned 1976 Indiana Hoosiers, the last team to go undefeated.
They were good, yeah.
Was the Indiana Hoosiers of 76 with Chris Benson and Scott May.
I even think the Houston teams that didn't.
Oh, Phi Slamma Jamma?
Yeah, I think they would have had a field day with
Houston,
too.
Georgetown?
Yep. I think those guys would. I think there's a lot of teams that over the years would have gave this Kentucky team fits or just beat them.
But again, it goes back to that one and done rule we talk about. You don't have players committed to 4 years.
Yep.
You have players that are committed to 1 year and done.
Yeah, and even back then.
That's what made the last team to repeat, Florida in 2006, 2007. That's what made them a repeat champion and such a good team.
Because they all
they were the one team to hold number one from the preseason all the way through. They're the last team to do it because people came back. You had experienced juniors and seniors on the team.
Yep.
That's what made the Duke teams 91 and 92. Hell, 89 to 92. Yep. Christian Laettner, Bobby Hurley, Grant Hill came in halfway through that. That's what made that team so great was they stayed all 4 years.
Yep.
You had a team with Laettner and Hurley that made the Final Four all 4 years and won 2 national championships because the 4 years was almost a rule back then. You don't see that anymore.
You don't. And that's what's hurt college basketball a lot is these one and done rules, and with guys like Calipari who just wants to get these guys to come in and just play this 1 year, and he doesn't care about the longevity. He cares about the now. And that's I wish they would do something to where they would get these guys to be able to stay in school, and you would see these dynasties, and you would have a team to root for and guys to actually root for over
instead of rooting for a uniform.
Exactly.
Bobby Knight said it best a few years ago. Bobby Knight, they asked him about when the one and done rule first came into effect. And he said that, you know what, if you want to go out of high school and go straight to the pros, by all means, attempt to go to the pros. But if you agree to play college basketball, you are not able to enter the draft until you're 22 years old.
Yeah.
You are attached as an amateur for 4 years. You can go overseas if you want to after 1 or 2 years and try and get paid, but you're not draft eligible until you're 21 or 22 years old. Mm-hmm. And I think that should be considered. Mm-hmm. Not only that, man, one thing that people are losing and people are forgetting about, they're going to college for an education.
Yep.
They're taking that scholarship away from somebody who might have used it. And what makes me crazy is when Coach K is the last of a dying breed.
Yep.
But what I mean is him. I remember, again, I go back to Coach Bobby Knight, who still, in my opinion, is the greatest coach of all time, or one of the greatest of all time. Yeah. They said Bobby Knight will be remembered for 3 things: an undefeated season, 94% graduation rate, and 0 recruiting violations. But I pin on that 94% graduation rate. Yep. That means out of the 40 years he coached college basketball, over 90% of his players graduated with a college degree. And that is something that is getting overlooked. Yeah. It also reflects in the NBA game, this one and done rule, because NBA basketball is some of the sloppiest it's ever been.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
It's lacking fundamentals. It's hard to watch at times.
And some of these poor guys that leave early, they don't even get drafted. You were a star on your team, but you don't even get drafted because all these young guys are coming through and they're going right to the NBA after that one season, and they're the ones that are getting these high picks, and you've got a lot of talented ball players that are now having to go overseas and go and play balls because their spot is being taken by these guys that aren't staying that long in school.
That's the competitive nature. I can't really fault that. Mm-hmm. It's just basketball's became a foreign game over the last 10 years.
But and
if you look, the foreign product that's been put out the last couple of years has kind of rivaled the American product. But when it comes to fundamentals, it's absolutely the San Antonio Spurs are a prime example.
Oh, yeah. When you go overseas, you learn